Welcome to August 16th. It's a Monday, 2021. Well, there's a lot to talk about. We're going to have some summer sizzle, then September-like weather's coming. It is going to really be the tale of two different scenarios. We're going to see some heat going into a pattern that is going to be significantly cooler by the end of the week, as a trough in front will be moving in midweek. This is going to bring first hot, hazy, breezy conditions through Tuesday. There'll be 90s, there'll be some 100s. We've seen smoke and haze get pushed back into the region. And basically, the next couple of days will be a lot like what we've had this summer, hot and hazy. However, as this front moves in this trough, it is going to bring significant relief from the heat and dryness to Montana, Wyoming, Idaho, South Dakota, North Dakota, parts of Nebraska and Colorado. Also, I'll throw in Utah and other sections of the Intermountain West with this as well, as it will be a far-reaching system, but it really is going to impact the northern and north central areas of the Rockies the most. Snow? Yep, it's in the forecast. Now, nothing down low, but up high. I think we're going to see it before the week's over. And this is going to make the pattern different for the rest of summer. I hate to say this, folks, but we are at the tail end of summer, and this front really an indication of that. And so we're going to see a different set of weather circumstances going through the rest of August and into early September. The satellite imagery this morning kind of shows a hodgepodge of dry air across California, parts of the Pacific Northwest and Great Basin, and some of this subtropical moisture, which brought showers and thunderstorms to many areas of Colorado, Wyoming, and western Nebraska. Quite a bit of severe weather. You know, we had more severe weather over the weekend than on Friday. Friday, we were concerned about severe weather, and we had a few isolated severe storms. But the weekend really brought more thunderstorm activity than expected, especially the mountains of southern Wyoming and northern Colorado. Severe weather across portions of the Panhandle of Nebraska, some areas of east central Colorado and northwest Kansas. Late last week and into the early part of the weekend, got some needed rain. But you can see some swirl up here. This is the trough that's coming on in. At first, this warm, drier desert air gets pushed in for today and tomorrow ahead of the storm up here. And you can see it. Now, this is where we are today. We have this area of high pressure, and you can see the pink here, drawing the warmer, drier air in. But here's the low in British Columbia, diving south and east into the area. This is very much a September-looking pattern with two strong waves in front, and you see the blue up here in parts of northwest Canada and up near the Arctic Circle. That's where the colder air and more energy is beginning to build. By the middle of the week, though, things change. But ahead of this front, see the heat, temperatures well above average across the northern plains, Great Basin, and northern Rocky, all that orange there. These are the temperatures relative to average, the deviation from normal for today. But as we get into Thursday morning, we have a large and dominated area of high pressure in the Gulf of Alaska, opens the door to Canada, and here comes the troughs. When the troughs begin to enter the western United States in August and September, that's when the tropical activity heats up. And we've got Fred coming up into here. We've got Grace that's going to be likely taking a track like this later on. So we're seeing a weather pattern that's setting the stage for tropical activity in the east and southeast and cooler, wet weather in the west. Taking a look at temperatures by Wednesday afternoon relative to average. The boundary between the heat and the coolness by Wednesday afternoon is basically right along and east of the divide. You see the purple up here in Montana, Idaho, eastern Oregon, even into the Wasatch Front of Utah. You're talking a deviation in temperatures relative to average as much as 20 degrees below average. So Wednesday is the day where the coolness really moves in. Now, for the front range of Wyoming and Colorado and western Nebraska and the Dakotas, the heat will hold through Wednesday. But just off to that west, the cold air will advance. And one thing to remember about colder air, the colder the air is, the more dense it is, the more density it has. And so when it gets a push, it gets momentum, and it's really hard to hold it back. And as we go forward, this is for Thursday afternoon. So here's Wednesday afternoon, Thursday afternoon. The cold air begins to get a bigger push. And by Thursday afternoon, it's into Denver, but still not into southeast Colorado or western Kansas yet, or the eastern side of the Dakotas or eastern Nebraska. Those areas will get the colder weather coming in by Friday and Saturday. But look at this swath of purple over the Yellowstone Park area, over Jackson, across many areas of Montana, back into Boise. You're looking at some real cool air coming. Look at this, even into Southern California, cool air gets pushed in. This is the real deal. This is quite a trough. And as we get into the weekend, as the main trough swings up in towards Hudson Bay, there's another cool front behind it, and actually two more that will actually reinforce the coolness for the weekend, while the high pressure shifts over the southeast United States, making it really easy for that tropical activity to come into the Gulf. So as we look at temperatures on Sunday, this is for Sunday relative to the average. You can see the coolness holds across the northern Rockies and the central Rockies. The parts of the Central Plains here are still actually above average. So there's going to be some warmth holding on into the plains, while the Rockies will be the areas that will be the coolest. Look at the precipitation. This is over the next 10 days, so this is from today through the middle of next week. Look at all the orange and yellow and the blue across North Dakota. Look at Montana. Boy, did Montana need this. Northern Wyoming as well, and into Yellowstone Park, into the Bighorn Mountains, into the eastern plains of Montana. Then look at Utah. Look at the Wasatch Front of Utah, western Colorado, and look at southwest Wyoming. Big Piney and Pinedale and Evanston and Rock Springs and Green River and Lander, Riverton. Areas that really need rain. Well, this front coming on through will do that. And getting into the mountains of southern Wyoming and northern and western Colorado as well. And if you were to look at the prediction of snow, yeah, look at that. Look at the Bighorns. Look at maybe the Beartooths up here. Parts of Yellowstone Park, the Wind River Mountains, even the Uintas, and then even a few little flakes of snow into the high country of southern Wyoming and northern Colorado cannot be ruled out. Now, we're not talking about anything big. And actually, folks, you may look at this and say, it's only August, this shouldn't be happening. Well, actually, this happens more frequently than you think, although this tends to happen more on the last days of August instead of the middle of the month. So let's say that this is about a week early in terms of seeing something like this as we get into the second half of August. If we were to go out 15 days, notice we have another trough 15 days coming down the British Columbia coast, and high pressure still wants to be near the Gulf of Alaska. So this will continue to make more of a northwest flow into the western United States for the second half of August and into early September. And so that's going to mean a more active weather pattern. What we're hoping long term is this is going to make it easier for these areas to get wet and help out the wildfire activity. Have yourself a great Monday. We'll have more on the changing weather tomorrow. So have yourself a good day.